All right, so Nikon and Red released their first camera together since the marriage. It's a boy, and it's called the Nikon ZR. In this video, I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you the good and the bad, and I'll tell you who this camera is for. Let's do it. All right, so some exciting news. Red and Nikon had their first child. It's a boy, the Nikon ZR. All right, so let's start with the good. You can shoot Red Code RAW 12-bit internal in camera, which is insane. The fact that you can shoot Red Code, use Red color science in a camera of this price range is simply amazing. I did a video a few months ago when I was talking about how camera prices, cinema cameras, prices, they keep dropping and dropping, and now we're to the point that you can literally get a Red camera. I mean, it is a Red camera for the cheapest price ever. This is the lowest price ever for a camera that can shoot in the Red color science. So fantastic news. Again, cameras are getting cheaper and cheaper. The second thing, you can shoot 32-bit flow internal in terms of the audio. As far as I know, this is one of the only cameras that can do this internally. Some of the cameras can do it with, an addition of the tap handle or something like that, but this camera can do it internal, which basically means that you can scream into the mic. If you get distorted audio, you can take it back in post and you can recover a lot of those files. I think this is a feature that we're going to see in a lot of other cameras moving forward. Another feature that I'm impressed is the LCD display. Huge display. It's actually 16 by 10. It's huge. Reminds me of the Pocket 4K camera. Essentially what that means is you're not going to need an external monitor. You can really just use the built-in monitor, the built-in display, and you should be good to go. I think more cameras should adopt this model because I myself, I shoot on the C80, the R5C, and I find myself all the time squinting, trying to see, especially when I'm outside, which makes the having to use an external monitor, it makes it a necessity. With the Nikon ZR, you really can use this. Again, it reminds me of the pocket cameras with that large display. So again, a great addition. Another big positive is the fact that you can shoot in ProRes. Again, one of my big complaints with cameras is that not enough of them can shoot internally in ProRes. A lot of times, in fact, most times, when you're shooting projects, you want something like ProRes because you want the ability to just take that footage, take it to your computer, start editing. You don't want to have to decompress and convert this to that, and so the ability to shoot in ProRes, to me anyway, is huge. Also, another big positive is the fact that you can preview LUTs. I believe you can preview up to 10 LUTs right in camera. You can preview your image. You know what you're getting. You can see it right there on the image. Again, a very welcome addition and feature for a camera in this price range. Another great thing is it has that great Nikon autofocus. So this is essentially the first Red camera. Basically makes it that it has autofocus. We know Red, as with most cinema cameras, you don't get autofocus, which is understandable. Most times when you're shooting, or not most times, but when you're shooting in professional environments, feature films, documentary work, stuff like that, most documentary or most DPs, professional DPs, they most likely are not going to be relying on autofocus. So that's why you don't really see that in the higher end cameras, the Red and like the ARRI and things like that. This on the other hand, is the first RED camera that has reliable autofocus. You can actually depend and you can actually use this. So again, another big win. And my final positive on this camera is the price. From what I understand, the camera is going to be available for around $2,200, which is, I mean, it's exceptional. It's you know, considering the features, I think that it's a very, very competitive price. Obviously, it's half of an FX3, basically half of the C50, you know, almost half. You know, so in that price range, in that $2,000 price range, I think this camera is gonna make some noise. I mean, it's priced right in there with the FX2 and you know, other cameras in that price range. And I think you know, a lot of people are gonna go for this camera. All right, let's get into the negative. Obviously, it's always gonna be some things I'm not too crazy about. Number one, and it's the complaint that you're gonna get by most people, is that there's no open gate. You know, which again, it is, you know, we got to think about the price. It's a $2,000 camera. You know, but still, you would love, you know, since you have the ability to shoot 6K RAW at up to 60p, it would have been awesome. I mean, you know, it would have been too good to be true if they could have somehow added open gate. Now, who never, you know, we never know. I mean, in the future, software update, it's possible that Nikon may add open gate, but as of right now, as of the launch date, there is no open gate. Also, no dual recording, so you only get one card slot. You know, it's always nice to be able to record, you know, proxies or something like that. Or even, you know, what the Canon C50, that you can record vertical and horizontal, you know, to a SD card, a proxy file, you know, much smaller file, but you can still do it. You know, nowadays, especially with all the content for social media and stuff like that, it would have been a very welcome feature if they could have added, you know, a second card slot. But again, we gotta take the good with the bad. Another bad thing is that the camera, because of the form factor, it's gonna be very hard to rig up. You know, a lot of people love rigging up their cameras, you know, adding a tab handle, a cage, you know, so you can put a mod box and things like that. So with this camera, it's gonna be a little difficult to do because of the form factor. And it only has one hole at the bottom, nothing on the top, no mounting holes, nothing like that. So it would have been great if they would have added at least one or two mounting holes on the top, but for whatever reason, they didn't do that. And the last thing I'm going to mention, and it's the one that bothers me the most, is the micro HDMI.
What? Micro HDMI? Are you serious?
Yeah. That's you know, micro HD.
Are you kidding me? Come on, Nikon, you can do better than that. Come on, you know you can do better than that. Stop with the game, stop.
That is just like, I don't know, camera manufacturers, they should not put micro HD on cameras. Like, it's just a big hassle. I mean, if you're obviously, this is not made for professionals, but even as a consumer, prosumer, whatever, I don't want to have to deal with micro HDMI. They're completely unreliable. Those things break all the time. They're too small. You know, a regular size HDMI should become standard, just like with USB-C has become the standard for charging and things like that. Like, let's just make it standard. Just a regular HDMI. This micro HDMI nonsense has to cease and stop. All right, and who is this camera for? Well, I think this camera, first of all, is for anybody that's got the cheese. If you got $2,000, then this camera is for you. However, in practice, or in theory, I would say, This camera is really for anybody, content creator really, who wants to step up their game. You know, maybe you don't want to keep shooting. Maybe you're shooting on your phone, or maybe you're shooting on a Pocket 3, or maybe you're shooting on a GoPro, or I don't know, Insta, one of them. And maybe you want to take it up a notch. You know, maybe you got an older style, you know, camera, you know, some outdated, whatever. I think that this camera, if you're a serious content creator and you want to take your game up, you know, to the next level, because I mean, this camera, again, it's got the red color sign, so you know you're gonna get excellent picture quality. There's no doubt about that. So you know, that's really what Nikon is counting on, that we're going to overlook those little, you know, things like the little tiny micro HD and things like that. We're just gonna turn the blind eye and just whatever, in exchange for this great picture quality. You know, it's kind of like when you go out with a really attractive woman. You know, she doesn't have the best manners, or maybe, you know, her attitude is a little off, but she's really good looking. So, you know, you kind of, you kind of look away. You know what I mean? You turn the blind eye to the nasty attitude because she's really hot. So, you know, kind of the same thing. That's what Nikon is doing here. All right, that's it for today. No more for today. If you got any comments, okay, just got a message on my Ray-Ban. You know how this goes. Anyhow, if you got any comments, put them down below. Let's like to hear what people have to say. If you haven't done so and you want to get more from me, more of my videos, whatever, just like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.